is, you know, when I first start working with a client or a client organization, lots of people think that they need to learn new things to be resonant. The other thing I want to say is that resonance is your natural state of being. You're born resonant. You will die resonant. The real question is, will you find the space in between to really get back to your resonance again? So resonance is really like coming home. With my clients, it's more about unlearning than it is about learning.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that was one thing that was really sort of hitting me as well. It's about unlearning that socialization that you were talking about. That we've adopted a certain behaviour, a certain way to relate, which actually doesn't serve. You know, and so it's a matter of releasing that and letting go of that. And you know, it's like letting go of a habit, changing a habit or something. It can be challenging.
Well, it's interesting because we also sometimes think it's going to be challenging to let go of this because we're attached. And actually, the release, the let go, is simple. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and heard Tony Robbins speak, and he was saying that people think that change takes a long time, you know, and sometimes it can, but only if you, because really changes when you make the full commitment and you say, hey, stop, that's enough, and that's all it is.
And then everything shifts. You give permission for everything to shift. And it's so, I see that with the clients I work with. Well, it's almost like, you know, the light bulb goes bing, you know, when they realize that actually all it is a choice.
Yeah,
you know,
it is. It's very much a choice. And if you can make that choice consciously, you know, your commitment is much more with the choice, and it's more sustainable as well.
Absolutely.
Every moment, but they're not always conscious. So
absolutely, and that's what I was interested about too. When you work with corporates, you work with leaders in organisations, and within other organisations at various different levels. So how does it work with consciousness and conscious choice and decision? Is it always an individual's choice to work on this? And if it isn't, how do you perceive the differences with how a person takes on board the sort of the resonant message and works with it and uses it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question, because that's one of the things that in some ways I've played around with a bit in my marketing to attract corporate clients, but also when I'm actually in organizations. And it's been a little bit like coming out of the closet, because, you know, you start talking about consciousness and spirituality and resonance and energy. In some organizations, you know, they're going to run very fast in the opposite direction, because for them it's not really something that they think is going to contribute to the bottom line, when actually it absolutely is what's going to contribute. I made the decision that they're the people, the ones that are going to run away very quickly are the ones that really need this work, because they're clients where people, you know, literally hate going to work. And they're the ones where when you walk into an open plan office, it's like walking into the living dead. You know, there's no joy in the work.
You pick up the energy straight away.
And so that's interesting. And then one of my boundaries is I won't work with anybody who doesn't make the conscious choice to come on to the program that we might be running. So that's the other thing. So I work tends to start at the senior level, and it can start with one individual who's very interested in, and it may just be in coaching, and getting better balance or better leadership, usually it is. And so and I can tap into some of the work on resonant leadership out of the Harvard Business School, and it's only when I've built trust that I can really to really introduce this work at a much deeper level for the client. And then I usually end up working with the senior team, and from there we then go into culture change and implementing and harnessing the energy of the organization. But I've learned ways the hard way that, you know, I need to build trust first, because there isn't a lot of linkages at the moment in the research between, you know, hard business school strategy and although it's starting to come, we've got people like MIT now doing social intuition and leadership, and we actually had a business review 2 months ago actually state that intuition and energy are the two main aspects of leadership, the two components that are going to lead to leadership success in the new era of business. So that
thank you very much. That's great. That's really great. And it's interesting, you know, as you were talking, I was thinking of that old sort of phrase, you know, sell them what they want, give them what they need. It's a little bit that, isn't it? You know, it's about sort of dressing it up in terms that businesses can accept and are happy to accept, and then going deeper once you're there.
And it's interesting because this whole coming out of the closet, you know, in a way, I think my own fears that people wouldn't realize I had a very rigorous approach to coaching and business and a strong school education. And if I started talking about energy, you know, they'd think that I was away with the fairies somewhere. And so that's here as well. So it's been interesting, this whole unfolding evolution that I've been going through. And now I'm happy to say my new website that literally went up a few months ago, very firmly grounding me now in the resonance, in the energy, and I've made the decision, this is the stand that I'm taking in corporate business. You know, now that people made a change, and I really believe that because trust has broken down so many different marketplaces, the global marketplace, you know, I believe that with people needing to build trust, with organizations needing to build trust internally, externally,